Safety and Fire SAF. This is the first training video T1 SAF T1. So in this video we are going to discuss what is safety and what is fire. So we are going to see the introduction and importance. So let's start in that. What is safety and what is fire? We are actually talking about the safety and fire in the domestic life and also in the commercial life. So what is domestic life? It is our daily house we live in. That is our domestic life, and the commercial life is where like industries we work in, multinational companies and in big sectors where we work is like a commercial sector. So the first thing we are going to see that safety and fire. In fire it means that fire prevention. If any fire happens like disasters, how can we control it? So all these things are we are going to see in this. To understand, let's come to the first point, that is the everyday life. Okay, so this can make things little easier. So everyday life, which means if we are living in our house, so there what type of safety and fire comes in our life, in our day-to-day life. See, we can take an example of the LPG gas cylinder. Here we know liquefied petroleum gas cylinder are very dangerous and we should have to use it properly. And if we don't use it properly, or if we mishandle it, then it could lead to disasters or might be explosions and everything. So we should have the basic knowledge to handle it. So here safety comes, also fire accidents also comes here. The next example we can take is the electrical wiring. Okay, we have sometimes if our wiring connections might be old, and we know the old wiring cables, what happens is the insulators get damaged, and finally what happens is the wire becomes naked. This leads to short circuit, and again that could lead to uh, issues in safety and again fire accidents. So in our day to day life, fire and safety is very important, might be in our domestic life or might be in the commercial life. So now we are going to see the commercial life. Okay, that is the industrial and high risk environments. Okay, we know there are various types of industries. We work in like chemical industries. There are different types of factories. There are construction industries. There are industries relating to shipyard, dockyards, manufacturing industries, automobile industries, huge amount of industries. And what is high risk environment? See, high risk environment are places which is above like a high risk zone. Okay, examples are like oil and gas field, and we have the gas manufacturing plants and very heavy industries, explosive industries, etc. So those are very high risk job and high risk environment. Okay, one major example we can say is the platforms or the oil rigs. Okay, so here we need to understand that, let's take an example of a shopping mall. See, if a fire accident happens in a shopping mall, so what happens here? Every person, when they see a fire, they gets out of the area. Okay, they evacuate themselves from that particular area to a assembly point that is far more safe to them. So everyone evacuates from here. So they go to a place like outside where they feel safe. From the passage of the door, they go outside. So at this particular time, when we go outside, there are some people who with courageous mind, they come inside from the opposite direction. Like we go outside, they from the opposite direction comes inside, and they fight the fire. They fight the fire, they extinguish the fire, they defend the fire, and they make people safe. And like with courageously they save people. So this department are the firefighters or the safety department. Okay, so safety and fire, sometimes the department is something like we find it like divided. They work dividedly or they work like separately. Might be safety department and there is fire department. Sometimes they work combined, known as the fire and safety department or the safety and fire department. And again, there are various sectors and industries as per their requirement. They sometimes make it separate and work, or sometimes as per their requirement they combined make it and work. Like firefighters, we have the examples like the Mumbai Fire Brigade, Pune Fire Brigade, and various state have their different fire fighting services, like Kerala State Fire Service, and there is Gujarat Fire State Service. Okay, State Fire Service. So every state has their own firefighting brigades. Okay, so the government gives this department a very importance in the country's development, and they, with their whole important, they support this. So why do the government support this? Because this is a public's requirement of safety and fire. Safety and fire is always a public requirement, and this is for the fundamental rights of the public. They should be safe, and might be from any industrial hazards, they should be safe. At the same time, from fire, any fire accidents, the public should be safe. If any damage happens, so the liability is also been faced by the government. I will give you a small example. Just think, if a criminal tries to harm a particular civilian, and he is been injured, or he is now a victim. Okay, so he has faced some issues, some threat. So here we need to understand is that it is not only the victim's loss. It is not only the victim's loss. By the victim's loss, it is also to be understood that the state is also been cost damage due to the criminal activity being done. Okay, for example, if a criminal is has killed some person, so that results to the like damages to the victim, at the same time to the public, and at the same time to the government and to the whole country. See, that is the reason why what happens when criminal kills a person or murders any person, the state fights the criminal. Okay, in the court, the state fights the criminal, and all the legal charges and everything is been looked by the state. Okay, so we know the state versus the particular criminal. There are cases uh, we follow. Okay, so in that we should from this we can understand that the importance of the safety and fire, the government is tremendously giving importance to this loss. So in that we need to understand there are certain types of law we need to see. So first is the safety related laws. Okay, the department has some importance. Both the departments, the safety department has the importance and the fire department has the importance, and both are regulated and operated by the laws. So these are all the laws by which the operation goes, the regulation is being performed, and with these laws we do things systematically. So here we will check the laws. So first is the Factories Act 1948. These are mainly valid and applicable throughout the whole factories in India. This is a very important law, Factories Act 1948. Various types of factories like the chemical factories, then there is manufacturing, automobile sectors and everything. So the factories, this law is applicable. Second, we have the Mines Act 1952. Places where mining activities happen, like there is explosions and everything. We take coal and all things from mining. So here this act has been applicable to look after the safety related all concerns and everything we are talking about. Okay, third we have the Indian Boilers Act 1923. So places where we have boilers and everywhere in the factories or like in the working places, this law is applicable. Next is the BOCW Act 1996, which means the Building and Other Construction Workers Act 1996. This is a very important law for the construction workers and the construction companies. Okay, here properly we get information how we should have to follow the safety and what precautions should we have to take, and what the systematic steps been said in this law. Might be the working hours and all the required standards has been mentioned in this law. Then we have the Dock Workers Act 1986. Okay, dock, which means like shipyard or dockyard. So people working here, they have the specific law. So one thing I will say you, this laws are sometimes might be different from each other. Like I will give you example. That is a BOCW, which means construction workers here, and dock workers, which means people work in the dockyard. So here the working hours can be 12 hours, while here the working hours might vary, or there might be difference. Might be 8 hours, or sometimes can be extra or more hours. And in the factories also, the working hours might be 8 hours. So all the laws sometimes in there is a lot of variations in the working style, and at the same time the working hours can be like some difference. Okay, then we have the EPA Act 1986, that is the Environment Protection Act 1986. This is a very important law to protect the environment. There are various types of developments and infra projects going on. So huge amount of trees sometimes are being cut, or like with no proper like care, they just go cutting all the trees unnecessarily. So this act is a very important act that gives very importance to these trees plantations, and environmental protection might be from pollution and everything. This is a very important act that protects it. This is like a very important weapon that we can use to protect the environment, like a sword. But it should be used very perfectly. Okay, weapons are to be used very properly. If you are not able or capable to handle it, it will result to worst. Okay, then we have the OSH and WCC 2020. This is the Occupational Safety and Health and Working Conditions Code 2020 for the safety and health in India. This is one of the most prominent and one of the most standing still and important law. Okay, then we have the Dangerous Machines Act 1983. In various industries, there are different types of dangerous machines, and huge and heavy machines being operational and is been using. So for the proper standard operating procedures and for care, and who should have to work on the like very big machines, trained and skilled persons. So all this law has been mentioned in this. Then we have the Chemical Accident Rules 1996. There are various types of chemical industries. So to regulate all the safety concerns, this law is very important. Then we have the Public Liability Insurance Act 1991. In case of any accidents or anything, any incidents, the liable to the public, the insurance is very important, and this law looks after it. Then we have the Motor Vehicles Act 1998. See, not only in the public road, but at the same time there are private spaces where there are huge amount of roads inside the industries, and these industries even look after the speed limits, the laws applicable like the documentation required, the license and everything in the public roads, at the same time in the private roads. So this is very important now. Then the Airport Authority of India Act 1994. We know airport is a place that is highly strictly followed in safety rules and regulations. The whole places might be the aircraft safety and fire is important. Might be the runway, the place where the aircraft lands. Here also safety is being looked after. At the same time, the whole amenities building and the whole buildings, the tower and everything, they look the safety and fire very importantly. As mentioned before, here the fire and safety department works combined, and we need to understand that the whole area is being under the concern and under the uh, total protection of safety and fire. So this act looks after the safety also in this. Okay, so these are the safety related laws which we have took, the basic laws. Okay, Now if you go to various types of industries, so they also have different types of law. These are only the basic law. There are a huge amount of laws, but you need to understand this, the importance of all this law. If a person works in a factory, then he needs to have the knowledge of the factories Act 1948. Okay, if he works in the construction industries, then he should be aware of the BOCW Act 1996. The same person, if he is working in the dockyard, then he should be aware of the 1986 Dock Workers Act. So we should have the knowledge and the relevant laws that are applicable on places where we work. Okay. So now let's look to the fire related laws, the National Building Code of India (NBC). This is a very important law. Now just think an example that when we go to like very high rise buildings, okay, we know a red color door is there, red color door, that is the emergency exit. In case of any fire accident, we exit or evacuate ourselves from that particular place. At the same time, on the upper side we have the fire lines, okay, which carry sprinklers and all. So this is for fire prevention. So everything, all these things are been regulated and been the safety measures and the fire measures, fire prevention measures, everything has been looked after the NBC, National Building Code of India. So why? The answer is during the 9/11, the terrorist attack in the America. What happened was the plane crashed towards a building that resulted to the collapse and even fire accident and fire being ignited in very huge amount in the building, yeah, collapsed. At the same time also the fire was also going on, huge amount of casualties, people were trapped inside the building. So to evacuate this particular people, it was very difficult task. It was a very difficult task to escape people from the lift, from the staircase and everywhere. And with very like efforts and with very strong efforts, the team, the firefighting team and the safety team and all the emergency department had evacuated all these people. So it is a very important thing, evacuation in such type of conditions. The government knows that evacuation plays a very important role, and for that National Building Code of India laws are very helpful to make buildings in such a way that evacuation should be easier to do in such type of conditions when people face it. So next is the Petroleum Act 1934. We know petroleum is very highly used in our day-to-day life, in vehicles and everywhere. So petroleum extraction and again storing, handling, transportation, everything. This Petroleum Act 1934 regulates the safety and all the fire prevention rules and laws applicable in this. Then we have the Explosive Act 1884. As I said, the mining activities happen, we use explosives. Not only that, we have in defense sector we use ammunitions that are explosive. So there are relevant laws for that. Again, in the celebrations, we have firecrackers. So for that, we have different types of chemicals that are very explosive and highly reactive. So this act regulates over there. The next is the gas cylinder rules 2004. We use gas cylinders in our day-to-day life for cooking and everything. Today we have even pipeline, okay, CNGs and everything that are more safer version, okay, but still huge amount of people use LPG gas cylinders, and there are huge amount of cases that happen like explosion and everything. So all the safety concerns and all the laws, standards, ISI code, IS standards and everything is also been seen in the gas cylinder rules 2004. So this is a very important rule. Then we have the Fire Service Act. The Fire Service Act is a very important law, and this is very helpful for the firefighting team, the fire departments, and the people who want to know the fire laws applicable in the industries or in the factories or and any of the location they work within. Then we have the Fire Prevention and Life Safety Measures Act. See, try to understand that each and every state, the fire cases, the fire call, and the accidents that happen is different. Okay, the cases what happens in Kerala state is different as comparing to the state of Gujarat. Okay, Here development matters, what type of development is going on, what type of industries the state has the most. So with all this we can understand, uh, taking all these accountable cases, fire, accident relating everything, every state has their own laws. For example, Kerala has the Kerala Life Prevention and Safety Measures Act and all these laws. Gujarat has their different laws. Maharashtra state have their Life Safety Measures Act to protect from the hazards of safety and fire. Okay, so this is a very important law. Then we have the Electricity Act 2003. Every houses they have electricity, might be domestic connections and in commercial area we have commercial connections like three phase and everything, and even high voltages. So in case of short circuit, or in case of like there are transformer getting heated and fire cases happen, so here the firefighting methods, at the same time the safety concerns and all these things, and the basic operating procedures, the guidelines, everything is mentioned in this law. Okay. Next is the Cinematograph Act 1952. Major people in a like for a good time, like spending a good time, and they go to watch a movies in the cinema theaters. Here, what happens is there are some people for like celebrating mood. They even burst some firecrackers and everything. Might be due to unaware of knowledge. So it is a confined like a confined space to like ignite a firecracker and everything, that could lead to huge amount of dangers, fire accidents, and resulting to disasters to all the people. So to regulate all this fire and safety measures, the Cinematograph Act 1952 is very important. Okay, so now we can understand the importance of the fire and safety and the concerned laws, and the government regulates this. Try to understand. First, it is my safety. Okay, it is my safety, which means your safety, my safety, first thing. And the second thing is the people who work with us, or the people who are around us, we should also look after their safety. So the second thing. The third thing is the place, might be a public place, might be a commercial place, or anything. We should have to look their safety. So followingly, we should have to perform it. So same thing. What the government does is the government is liable for the safety of the public, the safety of the like government policies, the government laws, and the private sectors and everything. The government is liable. See, if anything happens to even a private company, so what happens? A development becomes like stopped, or there is a like destruction, damages. So after all this affects to the government, after all this affects to the country. So when a company grows, when there is no fire and safety accidents, a company grows, so that also benefits to the government, and it also has a good impact to the developing country, also is a very good for the country in progress and development. Okay, so now we have understood the basic introduction of safety and fire. Now, to understand it little advanced, we should have to take some real life examples, or a real life incidents or accident or a disaster that has happened in our country. So that example is the from the safety related. We will be taking the example of Bhopal gas tragedy, 1984. This is a very worst industrial disaster that has happened in our country. So this is one example. And from the fire related laws, we will be taking the example of Victoria Dock explosion 1944 or the Mumbai Dock explosion. This is also worst fire accident that has happened in the our country. So by taking this example, we can properly understand the importance also of fire and safety. Okay. So this is very important. So in the next video, we'll be seeing about the Bhopal gas tragedy and the Victoria Dock explosion. Now we are winding up the video. So SAF T1 video is now completing. Thank you.